inaugurated today, on May 7th, as the new old president of Russia. I find this event very important for the fate of Russia. I also find it very unusual from the previous inaugurations, and today was the fifth inauguration of Vladimir Putin. It had new elements and it was packed with symbolism, unlike the previous times. And some of that symbolism is plain scary, at least for me. For the first time, Vladimir Putin, the lead character and the sole beneficiary of that mad circus, looked detached from reality. He looked like he could care less. He looked like he wanted to be over with. He looked like he didn't win the presidential election, but rather he lost. Look at his face. I don't think any comments needed. This, how Vladimir Putin was looking for almost entire the duration of his inauguration. I would like to do a reaction for the inauguration and share my thoughts about it. Howdy, everyone. Welcome to Inside Russia. My name is Konstantin, and this YouTube channel is where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. You will not find any BS, any propaganda. On this channel, you will only find truth, common sense, and logic, and some emotions too, because I am a human being after all. First, I'd like to share with you that this is my second attempt to do a live stream, commenting and doing reaction to the inauguration. The first attempt was made at noon Moscow time, 2 p.m. Tashkent, and I tried to cover the inauguration live. Well, it didn't work. I was not allowed to do that. My account was blocked from all platforms from that they were doing live translation. Obviously, they were all Russian, Russian propaganda, Russian media channels. Others were able to stream. There were a few streams happening simultaneously, but I couldn't do it. I was blocked. I don't know the reasons, but that's a fact. So this is a recording, but I am actually glad that I had a little bit more time. I watched it a couple times and I had some time to prepare. More time equals more analysis. Well, let's jump straight into the inauguration. I will show you everything that happened, and that is about 1 hour long video. Actually, the video, well, the inauguration itself was televised for 1 hour 48 minutes, but I could easily cut around 40 minutes off because that was just the preparation. People were gathering, were being placed in their spots and so forth. The real thing happened for about an hour, a little over an hour. So I will show you everything, what I find important, and after I will comment and I will give you my analysis and my thoughts. And there will be no live stream chat today because I feel like you will have enough information and there's not much to talk about in this case. So let's do it. Let's jump straight into the inauguration. By the way, it has English subtitles generated by YouTube. Not perfect, but I think it'll do. You will understand what people talk about. the opening shots of the inauguration. Basically, I don't know how many people there are, but these folks are they are who and who in today's Russia. These are people who are running Russia in one way or another. These are people who are on the very top of the pyramid of the vertical of power. Basically, if you mean something in Putin's regime, then you were at the inauguration. And if you don't have much weight, you weren't there. You weren't there. This is the beginning of ceremony. According to the designers of the ceremony, this should be absolutely wonderful and brilliant and very nice looking. It's happening right inside of the Kremlin. These folks are, well, I would like to start with this particular part of the Kremlin. This is called Andreevsky Zal, Andreevsky Hall, but before it was called the Hall of the Throne. That actually where all Russian czars sat on their throne. Inauguration happens right there, where Russian czars used to sit on the throne of Russian Empire. Now Vladimir Putin is inaugurated at that very spot. You see that it appears to be very, it gives you a sense of luxury, imperial, royal luxury. Everything is covered in gold, and I'm pretty sure it's real gold. And this is symbol. Also, please take a look at the flags that these people are carrying, the soldiers. And the soldiers are part of a Kremlin regiment. This is a military unit that is basically isolated from the rest of the Russian armed forces. And it's stationed inside the Kremlin. It takes orders from the president. St. Andrew's Hall, St. Andrew's Hall, it's called Andreevsky Hall. St. Andrew is Andrei. The hosts, TV hosts, give direct references to the Tsar times, the Russian Empire times. Talking about the Tsars, Nicholas I, and so forth. Nicholas I, not fourth. Please. So this is the ceremony. Okay, these folks who are the protectors of the throne, I could call them. Now we have other folks there bringing the constitution of Russian Federation, and they're going to place it onto this table or a stand where Vladimir Putin will be sworn as a president. I'll remind you that in 2020, a Russian constitution was changed in a not very honest way. During the height of the COVID pandemic, Vladimir Putin was allowed to have 2 more terms, and he used the opportunity. So you understand who was behind changing the constitution. And they are explained in the ceremony. Folks, pay attention not to these wonderful soldiers who are dressed more like circus clowns, but pay attention to the ones who stand on the right and on the left. Look at their faces. These are the elites, as Vladimir Putin calls them. But these are small potatoes right here, small potato elites. The real elites, the real rulers of Russia, they will be shown later, and they will be in the first rows, front rows. So this ceremony is packed with symbolism. Look at this. Who cares if it's beautiful and it's made out of the highest quality of gold, you know? They're just making such a big deal out of it. The Alexander Hall, Alexandrovsky Zal. And they're bringing the Constitution into the throne Zal, Andreevsky Zal. I like the music though. It's you know, it's pretty good. The next part, before Putin shows up, and he will show up soon, let me tell you that this ceremony, inauguration, is divided into 4 parts, and all 4 parts were televised. Yeah, this is how the Constitution of Russian Federation looks like. Now we have the head of the upper council of the parliament. It's called the Federal Assembly, Valentina Matvienko. She's Putin's friend from 70s, I believe. And this is the real elites standing right there. Right there. You just got a glimpse of them. So there are 4 parts. One part is preparation. Second part we're seeing right now, the start of the ceremony. Third part is Vladimir Putin addressing, being sworn in. The fourth part, there are 5 parts. The fourth part is the parade, and the fifth part is brand new, never happened before. The most atrocious thing I've ever seen in my life, well, close to it. And that's Vladimir Putin denominated onto the throne of Russian Federation. So these are the faces of the elites, of the rulers of Russia, of Putin's foundation. The head of the Supreme Court of Russia. Valentina Matvienko, the head of the upper chamber of the parliament. The guy right next to her, Volodin, the head of the lower chamber, and this is the head of the Supreme Court. And believe it or not, but it snowed in Moscow today. Snowed. That's a pretty bad sign, you know. So this is Vladimir Putin's office, and as a tradition, he's given a signal that everyone's ready, everything ready, and he's in the same building, working hardly working, I don't know. But he's there, given a signal, and he walks all the way to Andreevsky Zal to be sworn. Yeah, working with the documents. Andreevsky Zal to be sworn. He walks like that for the 4th time. The first inauguration was completely different, and these are the Secret Service folks who are protecting him. And this is how the Kremlin looks on the inside. Rare footage. I've seen it a couple times in my life, and that's it. Looks fairly ordinary. but you see some elements of Soviet inheritance. Those curtains, heavy curtains, very Soviet. Well, they're going back to the USSR. This is USSR right there in front of you. Pretty darn long corridor. I guess it's Russia's equivalent of the White House in the USA. FSO officers, Federal Service of Security, that's personal bodyguards of Vladimir Putin, the Praetorians, FSO. Now he's walking to get into a car, and he's inside the Kremlin. He's just in a different wing. So he's getting into his car now, and his car is taking him to the front entrance to Andreevsky Zal, and he walks up. And folks, you gotta understand, this is the focal point of Putin's presidency. That this moments is what he lives for, what he fights for, because this is the moments of minutes, seconds of his triumph. And the triumph is televised all over the world. It's shown to everyone in Russia, and lots of people in the world are watching this. That is his moment of glory. Except for one little thing. He looks very different from his previous inaugurations. Kremlin is sheer luxury. Of course, this is the home of the czars. First, it was Moscow, then it moved to St. Petersburg, the capital, and then that returned to Moscow. But Kremlin has been there forever. Pure luxury. And this is a Russian-made car called Aurus. It was designed and built for Vladimir Putin specifically. I'm not sure, I don't know much about this particular car. I'm not sure if it has foreign-made parts or not. But I know one thing, it cost Russian taxpayers an arm and a leg. So Vladimir Putin gets into the car and leaves. So this is how the inside of the Kremlin looks like, and you see that Putin is accompanied by motorcycles. That's a motorcade. Very unusual one, light one, because obviously there are no threats in the Kremlin. Usually there's like a few dozen cars around him. He used to come by my house in Moscow every single day, because I lived not too far from the airport that he used. He had a private terminal there. They would block off all the roads, and I could witness the motorcade. It was huge. Very familiar places that he's traveling in right now. I've been there many times. I took Michael. Inside the Kremlin, it's actually open for public. You gotta pay to get in, and you just walk around the designated areas. There are churches there, the Tsar Bell, a Russian historic bell. It's right there on the left. And in May, it's much nicer and warmer usually in Moscow. This is terrible. It's actually snowed. Russian flags, they're usually not there, and I know that part of Moscow quite so well. Looks very, very familiar. I doubt I'll ever get there again. Aurus, this car they're so proud about. I don't find much to be proud about. And then he finally arrives with fanfare to the main entrance of Andreevsky Zal. Well, this part of the Kremlin, it's not just Andreevsky Zal, there are different Zals. He is greeted by the chief security officer of the Kremlin. And this is it. This is it, folks. This is it. This is what Vladimir Putin usually lives for. And if you look at the previous inaugurations, he oozed happiness when he was walking this red carpet, okay? Because this is his glory. The entire world watches usually this moment. An entire world admits that, yes, this is the king of the hill. This is the new Tsar of Russia. And I think that's what Vladimir Putin was after. But you know what? Not this time. We'll be looking at the close-ups of his face. And it does not look like this time he is enjoying as much as he did previous times. First of all, look at the way how he walks. There's definitely something wrong there. He does not move his right hand, and he does not move much his entire right side of his upper body. The Kremlin itself is magnificent, but it's behind the walls, away from Russian taxpayers' sight, you know. Look at the faces of these people. They are the war supporters, the Z people, war profiteers, the elite, the new elite. Noon, sharp. So now Putin is announced, and he walks into the Zal, whole packed by his home base. And this is his moment of glory, usually. For the 5th time it happens. This time Vlad does not look so glorious. Comparing with the previous walks of fame, chick. Stream suspended for policy violation.